There's no memory.
Okay.
There's nothing. No one looking into the brain.
Is there anyone that can draw an accurate map of the United States without having ever looked at an accurate map of the United States?
I doubt it.
Okay.
But there are people who can draw things from their dreams that they have never seen before.
But they have seen them in their dreams. But where's it stored?
I don't know.
Okay.
I want to find out.
That storage.
Don't you think we should find out?
Couldn't you use the term memory to accurately describe that storage?
It's not, but it's not in our brain.
Right.
So the people who are looking in brains and looking for memories, they're not finding.
Was it just that they haven't found it yet, or they don't understand that you're not going to be able to see it in the same way that you see cells?
I've talked to some of the top neuroscientists who study memory.
Okay.
And the first thing they say is, I can't find it because I don't think it's actually there. So
Perhaps,
I'll
but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How do we know what size memory is? So are they looking in the subatomic realm? Are they looking at particles that are quantumly entangled? How do they know what they're looking for? Is it simply that we have a limited amount of tools?
Well, a much simpler idea. See, they're interesting concepts. They are.
Right.
But a much simpler idea is that the brain, look at all this space that this microphone, this is a very good quality microphone. And it takes a lot of stuff in there for it to work as well as it does. Right. So a much simpler idea, given that no one's ever found anything remotely like memory inside the brain.
Okay.
And I actually asked Eric Kandel, who was was in his 80s at the time and who won a Nobel Prize for his work on a memory and the aplesia. I said, how long do you think it's going to be before we understand human memory? And he said, 100 years, meaning we aren't.
Right.
So isn't a simpler idea that the brain is actually like this, that the brain is a transducer allowing us to communicate with higher intelligence in another universe. Isn't that a simpler idea?
No, that's not simpler at all. That's way more complex.
No, that's super simple.
It's way more complex than experiences being stored in a functional way so that you can benefit from them.
Except that there's no evidence of any storage, and there never will be.
How could you say there never will be if he said 100 years? 100 years is not never. 100 years ago, we were exactly the same species as we are right now.
You had to be there. It was the way he said it.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. But look, before they understood spooky action at a distance, before they understood subatomic particles, if you had tried to explain that to someone from, 1850, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But now it's understood. It's measurable. It's something that we agree upon, that subatomic particles, that atoms, that neutrinos, all these things exist. Bizarre things that there's neutrinos passing through us right now, right, from space. There's a neutrino detector in the Antarctica. We know that there's these things that we didn't know exist. As we have more access to technology, more understanding of the mechanisms of the mind, isn't it possible that we could say, oh, this is where memories are stored? And isn't it true that if certain areas of the brain are damaged, in particular, it will damage memories? Isn't that true?
It will damage the transduction process, yeah.
Okay, you're married to this transduction process.
Well, it's not.
I'm not saying that it's not in there's something happening. Let's not even say it's in the brain. Maybe it's in the entire body. Maybe it's in every cell. Maybe it's in the DNA. Whatever it is, there's something in there.
Well, I'm trying to point out that the something is something we haven't thought about in the past, and it would actually solve so many problems.
I see what you're saying in terms of communication with whatever that other realm is. But what I'm saying is that there might be, and forget about the term the brain, local. Let's just say local.
Local, okay.
Because when I'm accessing, I know if I press the turmeric button on the coffee machine, it makes the kind I like. That's locally stored. Other people don't know that if they've never used that machine, right? This is locally stored information. Forget about finding it in the brain. It might be in the DNA. We don't know where it is. But I know, how to start my car. I know how to put it in drive because I've done it before.
Yeah.
So something is happening where I'm storing information. And the more information I store, the more it makes me effective at discussing certain things. There are certain things that I don't have any information about. I haven't read them. I haven't memorized them.
You are married to the information processing metaphor.
I'm not.
It's just a metaphor. There is no information in the brain.
Challenging this thing that you're saying that I don't think sounds as complete as you're saying it sounds.
But the good news is it's testable. It's empirically testable. And I don't think it's going to take 20 years. I think it's just going to take maybe 5 years. I think it's because the labs already exist. And it's not like studying, black holes where you can't really access them and you have to, because we can actually study brains. And we have lots of great equipment. It's just no one's ever looked for what I'm talking about. And the point is, as I've talked to more neuroscientists, physicists, they're saying the same thing. They're saying this has to be right. And we just need to look for it. We never have before. Let's speculate. Let's say that they start looking for it and they find evidence that this is actually occurring. Don't forget about crazy things. The consciousness turns off, and then consciousness turns on.
Right.
What?
Right.
What's
What is
that?
Right.
Well,
what are psychotic states?
Yeah, but see that I'm just saying it's just an interruption in a pathway.
Got it.
That's really easy.
Right, which makes sense for psychotic states, right? There's some sort of a disturbance.
It makes sense
the way the system is running, and it's not tuning in to the other side the right way.
It takes care of of psychotic states just like that. I mean, think of how useful, how it does. You got to go back and read Darwin, because that's exactly what Darwin keeps saying. It was eye-opening for me to read this book, because that's what he keeps saying. He keeps saying, look, I know this sounds nutty, but it's much better than any other crazy story that you're going to tell.
We were actually just having this conversation the other day with Brett Weinstein.
Oh, really?
And Brett Weinstein, who's a biologist. And his belief is that random mutation, natural selection, Darwinian evolution, they're all real. It's all absolutely happening, but then there's probably also factors that we haven't figured out yet. And that's what shows human beings. Like, that's how human beings got
This
there.
is the factor.
And this is that thing.
This is what gets you up to that
Right.
next level, and it's consistent with the ideas that physicists have about the structure of the universe.